Welcome, everyone, to TechDaily.ai. Now, this deep dive is sponsored by Stonefly, your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyperconverged VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox cluster, AI servers, SA365, which is a turnkey security appliance, public and private cloud solutions, too. Check out stonefly.com for more info. So today we're taking a deep dive into something you probably use every single day, maybe even right now, actually, the lithium-ion battery that's humming away inside your smartphone. You might just think of it as, a solid static block of technology. But here's where it gets really interesting. There's actually a continuous dynamic chemical reaction happening inside it, almost like a tiny, perfectly controlled chemical dance.
It's absolutely true, yeah. Without that ongoing molecular ballet, your phone would just be dead. A scenario I think we're all probably too familiar with. So the mission for this deep dive is really to pull back the curtain on this seemingly simple component. It's become so fundamental, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
We'll explore exactly how it powers your smartphone, what's truly happening when you plug it in to recharge, and maybe most importantly for all of us, why does your battery seem to die earlier and earlier in the day?
Okay, yeah, let's unpack this. Let's pull back those layers and understand the hidden world inside your battery. So how does this small, sleek rectangle actually bring your screen to life and power all those apps we can't live without?
Well, at its core, every battery, really, from the tiniest button cell to those huge packs in electric cars, operates on the same basic principle. It's got a positive and a negative terminal.
Right.
And electricity, well, fundamentally, it's about the flow of electrons, these tiny negative charges. In your phone battery, these electrons need to flow from the negative terminal over to the positive terminal. And that flow creates the current that runs everything, your speakers, your display, all of it.
Okay, so electrons are the workforce. But where do they actually come from in a lithium-ion battery? Is it just a stored supply, or is something actively generating them?
Yeah, that's what's really fascinating here. In a lithium-ion battery, these electrons, they come directly from the element lithium itself.
Ah.
So at the negative terminal, we technically call it the anode lithium atoms, are cleverly stored inside layers of carbon graphite.
Graphite. Like in a pencil.
Exactly like that material, but structured differently. Imagine it like a stack of incredibly thin pancakes, these layered planes, and they have these tiny spaces that allow lithium atoms to be wedged right in between them. It's a process we call intercalation.
Intercalation. So it's not just sitting on the surface, it's inside the graphite structure, like coins perfectly sliding into the spaces between a deck of cards. Is that a fair way to think about it?
That's a great analogy, precisely.
Yeah.
The graphite acts as this stable, high-capacity garage, basically, for these lithium atoms. It holds them securely, but also makes them readily available. Now, lithium has this inherent property. It's really eager to give up its outermost electron. So when you turn on your phone, you complete an electrical circuit, right? You provide a path. In that instant, an electron separates from a lithium atom and starts its journey towards the positive terminal, powering your phone as it goes. And at the same time, the lithium atom, now missing its electron, becomes a positively charged lithium ion, a +1 charge.
Right, it's lost a negative charge.
Exactly. And it's this simultaneous huge movement of both electrons and these lithium ions that generates the flow of electricity. That's what makes your phone work.
Wow, okay. That's quite an act of waiting then. So while the electrons are off, powering the phone, what's happening at the other end, the positive terminal? Where do those electrons end up?
Right, so the positive terminal is called the cathode. And in most smartphone batteries, this cathode is made from a compound like cobalt oxide. You could think of this cobalt oxide as being really electron deficient. It's incredibly eager, chemically speaking, to gain an electron back.
Okay, hungry for electrons.
Pretty much. So when the circuit is complete, those electrons that left the lithium zip through your phone's circuits. They finally arrive at the cobalt, which just readily accepts them.
But hang on, if electrons are constantly flowing from the negative side to the positive side, wouldn't the negative side get more and more positive and the positive side more and more negative? And wouldn't that charge build up eventually, like repel any more electrons trying to flow? Wouldn't it just stop the whole thing?
This raises a really, really important question, and it's where the genius of the lithium-ion battery design really shines through. You're absolutely right. If only electrons moved, the cobalt side would quickly become too negatively charged to accept anymore. It'd grind to a halt.
So how does it fix that?
Well, to solve this, those positively charged lithium ions, the ones that just left the graphite at the anode, they're given a separate path.
Ah, okay.
This path is called the electrolyte, and it's crucial almost magical function is to allow only the lithium ions to move across. It specifically blocks the electrons from passing through it directly.
So the electrolyte is like a special highway just for the ions.
Exactly. And it forces the electrons to take the long way around through your phone's circuits.
So the lithium ions are basically neutralizing the charge buildup at the cathode. They're like tiny chemical couriers keeping things balanced so the electrons can keep flowing freely.
Exactly.
Mm.
That's a perfect way to put it. The electrolyte acts like a very selective bouncer.
Yeah.
It lets the lithium ions pass, no problem. But it absolutely bars the electrons from taking that shortcut. So when the lithium ions reach the cobalt side, they also intercalate. They wedge themselves in with the cobalt and oxygen to form lithium cobalt oxide.
Okay.
Now, the lithium isn't regaining its electron here, remember. That electron already went to the cobalt. The lithium ion is simply balancing out the charge buildup, keeping the entire reaction going. It's this really sophisticated chemical dance. Two invisible streams, electrons and ions, moving in perfect synchrony to keep your phone alive. One without the other, and, well, the music stops.
That's a powerful image. So, okay, throughout our day, as we're scrolling and tapping away, what does this all mean when your battery goes from, say, 100% down to completely empty, red warning flashing?
Right. So throughout your day, every time you use your phone, lithium atoms are leaving the graphite anode. They separate from their electrons, become lithium ions. The electrons flow from the negative terminal through your phone circuits, all its components, and into the positive terminal to join the cobalt. And simultaneously, the lithium ions travel through that electrolyte to neutralize the charge buildup, keeping that electron flow going. So by the end of the day, when your battery icon is red, most of the usable lithium has left the graphite layers and joined the cobalt cathode. Your battery is essentially running on empty because the active stuff, the lithium and its electrons, have mostly migrated to the other side.
We all know that feeling, that sudden dread of a dead phone. Ugh. But then comes the relief of plugging it in. So what's the magic that happens when we connect that charger? How does it bring the phone back to life?
It's actually a beautifully designed, precisely opposite reaction. It's quite elegant, really. When you plug in your smartphone, the USB charger applies an external electrical force. It essentially pulls the flow of electrons in the reverse direction.
Okay, forces them backwards.
Exactly. Those electrons are forced out of the lithium cobalt oxide at the positive terminal. This returns the cobalt to its electron-hungry state. And crucially, it kicks out the lithium ions that were wedged in there.
And they go back home, back to the graphite side.
Yes, precisely. So on the other side, the negative terminal, electrons are forced back onto the graphite anode. This negative charge then pulls those now free lithium ions back through the electrolyte, and they go back into their original layered homes within the graphite structure.
Wow.
This precise, fully reversible reaction, that's the genius behind why lithium-ion batteries are so revolutionary and, importantly, rechargeable. The lithium and its electrons move one way when you use the phone, right? Discharge. And the exact opposite way when you charge it back up, ready for the cycle to begin all over again. It's a true chemical homecoming.
That's incredible. Okay, so we've mapped out this intricate, invisible dance powering our phones. But a dance this complex, with such powerful forces involved, it must need some serious safety measures, right? Beyond this core chemical ballet, what other crucial bits are working tirelessly in the background that we never see? Things ensuring safety and efficiency.
Oh, absolutely. What's fascinating here are indeed a few additional details that are just vital for both safety and performance. First, and maybe most critically, the anode and the cathode absolutely cannot touch directly, ever.
Right, that sounds bad.
It would be very bad. If they did, and there was, any lithium left in the graphite, the chemical reaction would just accelerate uncontrollably. You'd get what's called thermal runaway,
Which means
fire, or even potentially a small explosion.
that's terrifying, especially in something we carry in our pocket. So how do they prevent that in such a tiny, tightly packed space?
They use a very thin, non-conductive, but semi-permeable separator. It's placed precisely in the middle, between the anode and cathode. It's engineered with microscopic pores, designed specifically to allow only the tiny lithium ions to pass through. But crucially, it completely blocks the electrons and prevents the two terminals, the anode and cathode, from making any direct physical contact.
So it lets the ions through but stops a short circuit.
Exactly. And it's important to note, the liquid electrolyte itself, while it allows ion movement, it isn't a physical barrier. It's really the separator doing the heavy lifting and preventing those short circuits. It's quite a feat of microengineering.
Remarkable. A microscopic film stopping a literal explosion. Are there any other sort of unsung heroes inside of helping things along?
Indeed, there are. While graphite and cobalt oxide are great at storing and reacting with lithium, they aren't always the best conductors on their own. They're not great at collecting or distributing the electrons efficiently. So to help with that, a super thin conductive copper layer is added right next to the graphite anode, and a conductive aluminum layer is added next to the cobalt oxide cathode. These layers are called current collectors. They act like efficient electron highways, basically, significantly improving the battery's overall efficiency and its power delivery.
Okay, so anode, cathode, separator, electrolyte, and current collectors. It sounds like a lot of intricate layers packed into an unbelievably tiny space.
Yeah.
How do they even fit all of this into that slim rectangular package we see?
Yeah, that's the next point, really. To maximize the capacity, get as much energy in there as possible, and fit it all into our incredibly slim devices. All these layers, anode, separator, cathode, and their collectors are carefully folded or rolled up.
Like a scroll.
Exactly, like a miniature multi-layered scroll, or sometimes folded back and forth. They're packed into an incredibly tight configuration before being sealed into that rectangular prism package, or sometimes a pouch that you actually see. And finally, one more crucial bit. To regulate the flow of electricity and prevent damage from, how we use and charge them every day, additional smart circuitry is added, usually right at the top of the battery itself. This little mini computer prevents issues like overcharging or discharging too deeply or overheating. It plays a vital role in protecting the battery's longevity and, of course, our safety.
It's amazing, a tiny brain managing this whole chemical power plant.
It really is a testament to microengineering. All these protective layers, the chemistry, the intelligent circuitry, all packed into a device that fits in your pocket.
So, okay, we've unveiled the remarkable science keeping our phones alive and then bringing them back from the dead when we recharge. But as anyone with an older phone knows all too well, that magic doesn't last forever. Now, for the million-dollar question that plagues us all, why does our battery's maximum capacity reduce over time? Why does it seem to die earlier and earlier in the day after a year or two?
This raises, a very important question. And it's the sort of inevitable reality of the current battery chemistry, unfortunately. There are a couple of key reasons for this frustrating degradation. One really significant factor is the formation of something called the solid electrolyte interface, or SEI for short.
SEI, okay.
Right. Sometimes, as the lithium and the electrons are moving around, especially during charging, they can react irreversibly with the electrolyte itself and the organic solvent that carries it. This reaction forms these SEI compounds.
And what do these SEI compounds do inside the battery? Are they like tiny roadblocks or something?
That's a good way to think of it. Yeah,
Right.
precisely. Think of SEI like microscopic scar tissue forming inside your battery. These compounds are inert, they don't participate in the main reaction, and the reaction that forms them is irreversible. So they effectively consume both active lithium and parts of the electrolyte.
So they lock up useful materials.
Exactly. When lithium gets consumed in this way, it's permanently locked away. It's no longer available for that main chemical reaction, the discharging and charging cycle. And this directly reduces the overall quantity of active lithium available in your battery. And consequently, the maximum charge capacity it can hold diminishes over time. It's like the battery is slowly but surely choking off its own ability to hold a full charge.
Okay, so that's one big reason our battery starts to fade. What's another common culprit? Is there something else going on?
Yeah, another common reason for degradation happens, particularly when you fully discharge your battery, like all the way down until it's completely dead, hitting that 0% mark repeatedly.
Which we all do sometimes.
We all do sometimes, right? But doing that consistently can unfortunately result in too much lithium getting sort of stuck on the cobalt side, the cathode, during that deep discharge. When this happens, it can cause the irreversible generation of new unwanted compounds, things like lithium oxide and cobalt oxide.
Okay, more unwanted stuff.
More unwanted stuff. These compounds are essentially stuck in that state. They've effectively bound up useful lithium and useful cobalt, removing them permanently from the active cycle. Again, reducing the amount of material available for future use.
So letting our phone die completely, we're actually kind of hurting the battery's long-term health. That's a really powerful insight for just our daily habits. Is there a practical tip there then for our listeners to help maybe extend their battery's useful life?
Absolutely, yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the practical implication is quite clear. It's actually far better for your battery's long-term health to recharge it before it gets super low. Maybe when it hits, say, 30% or 40%, rather than consistently waiting for it to run completely empty down to zero.
Just top it off more often.
Exactly. Regularly topping it off within that sort of comfortable middle range, maybe like 20% to 80%, significantly reduces the stress on the chemical components. It slows down the irreversible degradation caused by both deep discharge and actually staying at 100% charge for too long.
Wow. Okay, that's really useful advice. This deep dive has truly shown us the incredibly complex, really delicate chemical dance happening inside these devices we just take for granted every single day. It's
Yeah.
so much more than just power in a box.
It really is. And when it comes to batteries, while engineers are constantly researching hundreds of different chemistries, different compounds, they all work on remarkably similar core principles. It's quite elegant. At the end of the day, you really just need three fundamental things. One material that readily wants to give up electrons,
Like lithium.
like lithium, one that readily wants to gain electrons.
Like cobalt oxide.
Right, and then a clever ion-selective path, the electrolyte and separator for that charge build up to neutralize itself. That basic, elegant simplicity underpins even the most complex battery designs out there.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? Well, next time you pick up your phone, or maybe plug in your electric vehicle, or even just reach for a simple AA battery, take a second. Think about that miniature chemical power plant humming away inside, constantly transforming, balancing, electrons flowing, ions migrating, all just to keep your world powered.
And this understanding, it isn't just about smartphones either, is it? If we sort of step back and consider the broader implications, these core principles apply to so many areas. Think about those massive battery packs in electric vehicles.
Yeah.
They operate on very similar concepts, just on a much, much larger, more sophisticated scale.
Right, same dance, bigger stage.
Exactly. And it also connects directly to how basic galvanic or voltaic cells work. Even the fundamental concepts of chemical bonds and electronegativity that govern, well, all chemical reactions. Or maybe even that simple lemon battery you might have built back in science class. The ingenuity is truly everywhere once you know what to look for.
It really is amazing. We hope this deep dive has given you a newfound appreciation for the hidden ingenuity in your pocket. And maybe, just maybe, it's inspired you to consider the broader applications of these core principles. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.